all for showing up this evening. Let me make some adjustments here as I just sat down, get everything set up. How's everybody doing out there? I always like to start out these shows by saying that I do appreciate you taking your time to spend your time with me. Time is a valuable thing. Spending a little bit of it with me is really always greatly appreciated. So thank you so much. Yeah, that looks good. I like the way that looks. I got my second light on tonight. We'll see how long it lasts. I want to show you guys something. So I want to have a good light on it. But while we wait for more people to show up in the live stream, what we'll talk about there. Hey Scott, how you doing? Cheers to you, sir. While we wait for more people to show up in the live stream, I will talk about things that have occurred here at Upstairs to the Right Music channel. Ben, how you doing? Welcome, Ben. How you doing, sir? Well, I had a shipment come in. And it had to immediately go out because it was the end of the month and I wanted to get it in for February billing. If you are interested, and I'll say it here at the beginning of the live stream and at the end, if you're interested in seeing the stuff that I bring in that I don't always, I shot an unboxing video, so that will be coming out. I was just exhausted this weekend, so I basically crashed, to be honest with you. But I will edit that video and get it out. But if you go to my Instagram at USTTRM, at USTTRM, you can see pictures of stuff. I post pictures on there. I'm starting to quite frequently now. And you can see some of the guitars that came in and get an idea for what they look like. So you're always welcome to do that. Mr. Watson in the house, how you doing, sir? Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yeah, so Instagram at USTTRM, you can check out those guitars that came in. I have had a week to sit back and play and, well, not a week, but I've had a few days, at least 3 days, to play my parts caster that I put together. And I've come to the conclusion that it is an awesome guitar. It's exactly what I want it to be. Funny enough, it doesn't need much more done to it. I am going to add, as I said, a treble bleed circuit to it probably sooner than later. It takes about 5 minutes to do. Very easy mod to do. And I need to work on those frets a little more. I feel that I'm 95% there where I'd like those frets to be. I need to round those edges a little bit more, and it's unfortunate that I do not have. I have a lot of. Are they here? If I move them, I think I've moved them. I have a lot of fret leveling tools now, but the one that I need in order to do that final little thing, I don't have. Interestingly enough. Fern, my luthier, said he's going to pick one up for me. So I'll do that next time I change strings, which won't be for a while here because those strings are set now. But and nice. But certainly I will consider doing that fret job the next time I do a string change. Other than that, in the treble bleed circuit, that guitar is really done. It's quiet. It's way quieter than it was when it was just in a single configuration. The shielding that we put in, the wiring, covered wiring that we put in, everything contributed to make that a very nice recording guitar, which is what I wanted it to be. Arcadia says fries. Okay, goodbye, Arcadia. Yeah, man. So a little bit on that, but it's great. It really, honestly, does it sound like a single strat? No, the tone is not that. It's something different, but it's kind of going in the direction of what I want tonally. And again, in terms of comfort, that Strat body is a lot more ergonomically designed is the word I guess I'm trying to find there, to sit down, play, and makes it's just a great feeling. So next good. Um, I was reading debates online, just out of interest, of what people thought about heavier or lighter strats. Um, it seems to be the common kind of feeling out there that about 8 pounds is about as heavy as you want to go with the strat. And I believe mine comes in around 8 pounds, maybe 8.2. So it's interesting. It, you know, it's about the weight of a Les Paul, but I find it most of my Les Pauls because I try to get them in that range. So it's no heavier than my Les Pauls were, but I do find it strangely, oddly enough, a lot more comfortable to play, especially when I'm sitting on the couch and I'm writing or practicing. So there is that. I see the bots are out tonight, Scott. I see you're on it, sir. Thank you so much. I appreciate that as always. It might be a small crowd here tonight, but certainly an interesting topic that I want to touch upon. Before I get started, I want to show you guys something. Take a look at this. This is a Flying V. So this is a 1999 Epiphone Flying V, Carina Flying V, all original. Everything's still there from 90. Even the tuners, everything's still there from 1999. This is my second, believe it or not, Flying V. Denro, how you doing, sir? Welcome, 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 welcome. Spamming will get you nowhere fast. Love it, man. I love it. This is one of the guitars that did come in from Japan. It spent all of it. It was so 99. That would make it. Correct me if I'm wrong. That would make it a Korean, possibly a Chinese made Epiphone. I am going to be working on this tomorrow to clean it up. It's got a little rust. I'm going to take all of those screws off and I'm going to remove the rust off of that. It's just a general cleaning up, just some minor things just to make it look brand new as close as possible. But as you can see, there's no scratches, there's no dents, there's no issues. This is still some of the plastic here. That's funny. That's all right. I can take that out. But in really good condition. And I've got to tell you, oh man, you're dropping a V on us, Mike. That guitar is sick. Yeah, isn't it? Yeah, man. These pickups are the Pro Buckers, Epiphone Pro Buckers. The new ones, of course, they're inspired by Gibson Epiphone Flying V's. Those come with Burst Bucker 1 and 2. Other than that, well, no, that's not true, because those new ones don't have a veneer. This one has a veneer. You can actually see it because it's getting old enough there on the side where there's the veneers. It's the bottom veneer, top veneer. Carina. And two pieces. So, and the neck appears to be one piece. Wait a minute. Do I see a scarf joint here? No, one piece neck. And then, of course, interestingly enough, the new ones have Indian laurel fretboards. The old ones have rosewood. So, a couple of pluses, but you can always buy a pair of Burst Buckers. And boy, I said that right. It doesn't trip me up as much as it used to. That used to be a huge tongue twister for me. Burst Buckers, you can drop those in this for relatively inexpensive and essentially have, the same guitar with slightly different specs that are good. Both of them have good specs. It just really comes down to what you feel like. Maddie says, I miss my V now. I had one in black. I looked at it more than I played it though. The Karina V I got is awesome. Yeah, this is an awesome. I play it here through my board through a bunch of different amp simulations through the Moore Radar with my analog pedals, and it kicks ass. However, I am gonna say it is not a sitting on the couch strumming kind of guitar. It is, you know, I'm not gonna say it's uncomfortable because if you're sitting upright and you tuck it the way you're supposed to tuck it, right here, then but you still find yourself playing at an angle, and that's the thing that now that I've had a chance to I'm going to take it apart, clean it up, just do a little bit of refurb. This will be a refurbish on this one. Do a little refurbish work on it next day or so. I still find it to be an uncomfortable guitar. It's light. Boy, is this light. Boy, is this, it looks like it's heavy, but seriously, this thing is, I can balance it on, very, and great balance to it, by the way. Super light guitar. Lighter than my Strat, interestingly enough. But all in all, sounds good. It rocks. It rocks. I mean, it definitely, if you're trying to get your inner Aussie, sound on, you can get it with that guitar for sure. Even with these pickups, these 20, is that how many years old? That's pretty old. It's 26 years old on these pickups. Still sounds good. Needs a little contact spray on the switch. Few things. Like I said, I'll refurbish it. It's for sale. If you're interested, it'll be around for the next few days. You can always reach me at upstairs-to-the-right-music@gmail.com if you're interested in it. This one is what I call one of my floater guitars. I'm starting to experiment with my imports. Pick one up that I find interesting, really just to talk about for the channel, and then to offer it if anybody's interested on the channel, as well as my private group of clients. So if you're interested, it is for sale, and I find it to be a very nice guitar. It's just not, again, it gets back to, I'm sitting there on the couch with it, pretty fat neck, pretty wide and fat neck on it. It is okay with me, I like that. But it's just not a comfortable strummer. I used to have one as well. My V was stolen from a studio. Yeah, these guitars, they look cool. I mean, just as a piece of furniture sitting there, in my living room, while I was deciding a game plan for refurbishing it, it just looked good. It looked nice, and cool. It's quite a conversation piece for people who come over who don't know anything about guitars. Oh, that looks interesting. What's that? So from that aesthetic, it's really cool. But just from a comfortability, from standing up, putting a strap on it, it's light as a feather, and it's got a great balance to it. So easy to play. But those are my initial thoughts on it. The strangest V I ever had was Sandoval Randy Rhoads. Yeah, speaking of Randy Rhoads, I think it's still here somewhere. Yeah. The Sandovals are actually getting up there in value. So if you got one, you got yourself something. How you doing, Wrath of Wood? Nice to see you. So thank you. I appreciate it. It is a nice V. Super light. I was super surprised. I can't remember the first one that I got from Colin. You guys remember my first one I got from Colin, the guitarista. I flew over to London and did a deal with him on an Epiphone Flying V, except for his was the most recent one. His was the inspired by Gibson one. This one is the older ones, the older one of the older series. Yeah. Can't remember much about it because I held it in my hands for about an hour. or less. If you guys watch Colin's video on that, you can see that, how that went down. But I do like it. I tried one years ago. They have a cool sound. Yeah, it does have it has that sound. If you slap in if I put my Q pickups, those the dry Z's that I have in the Strat in here, buddy, you'd have yourself a screaming rock machine. You wouldn't need anything else. I'm thinking mine is not a real Sandoval because it has a truss rod cover on the headstock. I can't remember that intimate enough of a detail of those guitars. Interesting enough, on Pawn Stars, a guy brought one in and was talking about it. So if you look up Pawn Stars on YouTube and guitars, maybe you'll find that when you can look at their Sandoval, and see if it matches up with yours. Cautionary tale, I've owned 3 Vs and now I own none, but each to their own. Yeah, Manny. Yeah, this one I'm not keeping. This is not a guitar for me. But I can say now, spending some time with the Flying V, that it's pretty freaking cool. It's a cool guitar. In the story. Anything else anybody says anything else is a lie. Steven, how you doing, sir? Welcome. I'm doing fine. I hope you're doing well. And this leads me to talking about tonight's subject. You know, this is a used guitar that I got. I will refurbish it, make it look really super nice, and then I have to determine a price to sell it. There was a price that I bought it for, it's a price that it cost for me to import it for, plus the VAT, and then everything above that would be my profit. And at the same time, I have to look at what are they actually selling for out there on the market, and is this something that you know, I can make a profit of? Is it something that I might just break even on if I'm lucky? I've been avoiding that lately, but the market is such that I have to be conscious of that constantly. And I guess a lot of you might have noticed that as well for different reasons. Michael Watson, that's how I found your channel when I watched Colin's video of your exchange. Yeah. V is a guitar you date and flirt with, but maybe not marry. That is great analogy, Maddie. That nails it. That's exactly how that sums it up. I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna steal that one. If you had $400, what electric guitar would you buy? That's a great one for the money. If you're looking for a Strat or a Telecaster or a Jazzmaster, I would go with the Squier Custom Vibe series. You cannot go wrong with those, and you can pick those up used now and save yourself some money of that $400. That's my strongest recommendation right at this point. And you've got 3 different kind of guitars covered there. If it has to be a Les Paul style guitar, then honestly, at $400, I would say that you're best looking at something like Donner or Firefly. Because some of those Fireflies are hit and miss, but some of them are nice. I saw a Firefly that I can't get them over here. I wish I could get. I don't like Relic guitars. I talk a lot of shit about Relic. It was a Relic guitar, but it was a Les Paul type. It was gorgeous, and I would rock that. Factor in some inflation as well if you own the thing a while. Well, there's that dealer drive off the lot kind of thing with every new guitar purchase. When you walk out the door, it is going to lose a certain amount of value, which I'm going to hit upon tonight. Because I think a lot of people did not realize that. I don't think that a lot of people who got into guitars, especially during the pandemic, had that concept in mind. We as consumers lose money on things all the time. Some things we buy and we don't make our money back. You buy a washing machine, You think you're going to get your money back on that? I guess you could trade it in and get some trade-in value on it, but you're not going to get a whole lot for that washing machine. And so why consumers expect there to be a return on guitars is always a puzzlement to me. You know, if you've been trying to sell your guitar and you've been struggling to get serious bites, I'm going to touch upon that. But I've noticed that there's a lot of YouTube videos over the course of a year now that is talking about the guitar market being in a state of collapse. But I think that there might be something else going on. And in this discussion tonight, we're going to get into the so-called used guitar apocalypse. And we're going to analyze market trends. We're going to compare historical cycles, because I think that's extremely important, and break down whether this is a true crash or a necessary correction. We're going to stick just the facts, like they used to say on Dragnet, the old Dragnet TV series. Just the facts, ma'am, just the facts. So we're just going to do the facts tonight and take a look at this objectively. Because 1 year ago, Casino Guitar Channel posted a video that said the used guitar market apocalypse. That was a year ago. And then 2 days ago, I saw a few of this third wave YouTubers putting out videos with the title Guitar Market Apocalypse, or Guitar Market is dead, or of that nature. And I said, okay, so it's been it's been dead for a year if you use those two videos as a basis. But no, there has to be something more than that. I refuse to accept such a superficial thing. Gibson and Fenders go up in price over time. Not sure about other brands. Not all the time, Ratherwood. Northern Thrifter. Robert Baker has a Gibson for sale. Half a Gibson, because they sawed it in half and sawed the neck off in half. Interestingly enough, I love that one. All right, so let's talk about something I know a lot about. And I know that some of you guys out there may be experiencing trying to sell your guitars and getting nothing but lowball offers, ghosted messages, and endless price drops. Now, like I said, 1 year ago, Casino Guitar had a title, The Used Guitar Market Crash, The Good and the Bad. And then just 2 days ago, there was Why We're in a Used Guitar Apocalypse. If we're supposedly been in an apocalypse for a year now, just using these video titles and the span of time between them as a guide, then we need to ask ourselves, is this really an end time scenario for the secondhand market? Or is something else happening here? I do believe something else is happening here, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So let's break that down. Let's get into some data, some history, and some logic, rather than panic. I think a lot of those titles are put up there as clickbaity in order to get you panic, or for whatever reason, to install a feeling of fear or something. But as I told you, information always will cut through the fear as long as you know something. Knowledge is king. So let's use a little bit of knowledge tonight. I haven't bought a guitar in like a decade. Once I got what I want, no reason to waste money. Yeah, well, that's you're on the right channel. This is the I'm good channel. That's the motto of this channel. I'm good with what I got. Sometimes I got enough bits and pieces laying around, I can build something that I'm good with, like I just did. So that's wonderful. Only looking for a cheap bass now. Yeah, you and me both. 2020 probably had the most sellers and buyers at the same time. 2020 was the biggest percentage of sales that Fender had, at 400%, and they had in ages then or since. They of course used that data from those sales from that data in order to justify loans to their loaners, saying, "Hey, we can keep this going on in the future." It didn't quite exactly pan out that way. People bought a ton of guitars during the pandemic. And many now are reselling them, especially with job layoffs and things of that nature occurring in North America and in Europe, I might say. So, just a simple law of supply is more supply equals less lower prices. And so that's just a fact. Several 75,000 or 7,500 Fender Strats on Reverb, you know, and yours is a needle in that haystack. What's going to make somebody say, hey, this one in 7,500 is the one I'm looking for? It's like that. Many bedroom players upgraded during the lockdown and they're now downsizing. A lot of guys just got guitar happy. Got checks from the government, got to stay at home, make toast in your PJs, watch TV, do a little work, then play your guitars. Vintage guitars and boutique gear are not immune either. Boutique and vintage gear is suffering cuts as well. Not as bad, but they are up there. The good stuff, the quality stuff, vintage stuff that I bring in, it holds its own. The Rickenbacker, Greco Rickenbackers that I brought in, I was able to get a great price for. Margins on those were not great, but it covered the spread. And sometimes that plus 10% and you're doing good in a market like this, and I did that. But that's a reality, something that I would have got 20, maybe 22, 23% on last year. I'm looking at margins now of 10 to 15%. So there is that. Inflation, rising living costs are the reason behind this. Higher interest rates mean people have less disposable income for used gear. And buyers have more options, making them far more. Those who have the money are being far, far, far more pickier. And they're waiting too. Talked about that, keeping your powder dry so when you want to buy, there's going to be, I talked about this, I've been talking about this for over a year, but we've got there now for reasons that I will discuss. But yeah, Tommy Mack, good evening, sir. How you doing? Welcome, Tommy. Long time no peep. How you doing? So there's that, guys. Reverb, we know that guys highball there. And by highballing, you're really leading to stagnant listings. That's just the way it goes. Because buyers are expecting big discounts and sellers are reluctant to fold on their stated price, which is usually not realistic. You know, if you bought a guitar for $9.99 and you expect to sell it for $9.99, unless it's something that's, you know, exceptionally rare, you know, it's not going to happen. Now, is this a crash or a market correction? Difference between those. A little bit of difference there. Let's go back in time to 2008, to that financial crash. I was living in London at the time. You know, I lived in a part of London called Blackheath, in a haunted house. I've told you guys that story before. But on the day after the Lehman crash, I saw a British gentleman in what probably the day before was a couple of $1,000 suit. By the point I saw him on the heath, he had a hole in the knee of that suit, and he was wearing no shoes, missing one sock, and no tie, and just looking like the world had just crashed. I've never seen a man with he was obviously a banker. I've never seen a man so hollowed out, I guess is the term. But I saw a lot of things in the guitar market where there was a lot of hollowed out dealers. Guitar market slowed, but high quality instruments still held value. If you go back and look at the fact that the vintage stuff was going for ridiculous prices leading in it because there was a slush of money. They fell down, they corrected a bit, not as heavy as most things, but there was a correction there, but they still held their value. Early 2000s boutique gear boom was another period of time that I'd like to go back and look at when we started to see this boom of boutique gear coming into the market, where you started to get more options. And that led to today's oversaturation. See, a boom always leads to a bust. It's just an economic cycle. And the 2000s boutique gear boom is where from my research study, looking at it, living through it, is where I can point at is really the main culprit behind today's oversaturation of options. Many guitars were overpriced post-pandemic. And so therefore, because of that, this might just be a natural correction, is what I'm trying to say. Not a crash, but a correction. Guitar Singer Mid is that a Klon IC. This is a Klon copy that was done by a company in Los Angeles that used the same schematic that Bill used on his original Klon. It's a one-for-one replication that they made, and it is great. I've had my electronics guy service it, and he said it is a fantastic Klon, and I do agree. It's a copy, but a good one. That's when we got Behringer as well as all the other clones of it. That's correct. That is correct. That technology to be able to produce those kind of circuits at an affordable price is what led to that boom in 2000. Thank you, Guitar Singer Mid. It is nice. I've had it now for 10 years. Very happy I got it. So 2008 financial crash, early 2000s boutique gear boom. You see, I'm layering this stuff in to make a case here, guys. A Gibson Les Paul Standard might have gone for $2,500 used in 2022. But was that price really sustainable? $2,500, was that really sustainable and on and up? Where you're seeing some of the biggest drops, as you always do, which is why I always say, don't buy it new, buy it used, are the custom shop models. You can pick up a custom shop Les Paul, model for $3,500 in some places. Fender's American Pro models haven't changed much in years, but people still ask near new prices for used ones, which I think is funny. You're not talking about, like I said, go to Instagram at USTTRM. Check out the pictures of that candy apple red Tokai that I just got in a few days ago. That's a beauty. That is an 83. It is the exact a year before it stopped being a Tokai and became a Fender, Japan. And that is the top of the shelf build you're going to get, and those aren't going for the prices that these Fender American Pros are going with. There needs to be a correction there. Newer budget guitars flooded the market. If you're selling a low-end guitar, expect heavy competition. That's just the reality of it. Your Squier Classic Vibe that I just got finished recommending is great, but so are the other hundreds of listings for the same model. That's why I said for under $400, you can get one of those and probably save a couple of bucks. You know, save some money so you can get yourself some tools so that you can service that guitar and you'll be happy. Any Squire custom buy. The reality is there's a lot of them out there. Mid-tier models are the ones, honestly, that get hit the hardest. The budget guitar is there's lower to fall when you're talking about, you know, a 20, 30, 40% reduction from the original price. When you get into the mid-tier ones, that's when you start to feel it. People are looking for deals will either go super cheap or high end. Those are the two buyers that are out there right now. So the mid-tier market is really sluggish because of this fact. The guy trying to sell a $1,500 PSE for $1,350, yeah, he's in trouble. He's in trouble because he's not going to get that. High-end and vintage guitars, they're still stable. Some price, remember I pointed back to 2008? Why did I bring up that data points I looked up on that about the guitar market at that time? Is because we're seeing the same thing with the vintage and the high-end market, mostly the vintage market that we saw back in 2008. Some price drops, but demand remains for rare or historically significant models. You know, if you're going to look at guitars as an investment, then that's the direction that you should always be looking. It should be rare or historically significant. Gibson R9s aren't flying off the shelves, but they aren't being dumped for half price yet. I'll put an asterisk there because as I noted, you can get an R9 for $3,500 with cash if you find the right seller right now. Is that half? Not quite, but it's getting there. Pretty close. Pretty doggone close. But high-end and vintage guitars are still stable. And that's how it's always going to be in this guitar market. So with that little piece of information in your brain, you know, if you're insane enough to get into this market as a dealer like I am, then that is something that you really should always have in the back of your mind. Always. Mike, what would you say was the golden era for Squire? Are we in it now? You're in it right now. This is the golden era for Squire right now, as we speak. Those Indonesian Squires are the cat's meow. Everybody says that the first Squires that rolled out of China, out of Taiwan actually, were fantastic guitars. They were. But the build quality on the CV Strat now is as good, and frankly, it's a better looking guitar than even those early Squires that everybody is trying to find. PRS is making budget versions now under 1K, actually in a reasonable price range. Again, like I said, but you know, that's still mid-tier price range, and that's danger zone. Automated CNC manufacturing, in other words, made all the cheaper brands better. Yeah, CNC certainly did that. So there's that, guys. If you're selling, my advice is to price realistically. Look at sold listings. You guys know this. You should know this by rote. You look at sold listings, if you can. Reverb hides that data now, and sometimes you'll find that data and you'll wish that they hit it even deeper. Look at the sold listings. That's what people are asking. Accept the negotiation is part of the game now. I'm negotiating as we speak. Tomorrow I've got to go into my client and I've got to negotiate on the Tokai that unfortunately you guys couldn't see. It's a Silver Star. It's a ST50, candy apple red in mint condition. And I've got to negotiate with him on a selling price on it. The Greco Rickenbacker that came in with it, that was no question. But that's just what I have to do. I don't look forward to it. But I am going to go in with some with some stats on it. So it's just one of those things. Accepting negotiation is part of the deal now. It's part of the game. You know. Now, if you're buying, this is your time. The deals are out there, for sure. Patience is the key. Be reasonable with offers. Don't be insulting. But don't hesitate. Always negotiate. See if they're willing to negotiate. I do it all the time when I buy these. With this, we've got the private seller in Japan that I bought this from. I negotiated down to a price where, again, like I said, the margins made sense on it. I know what I have to cover it for to sell it, and I can ask that reasonably because I know what they're going for. So there's that. But I was reasonable with my offer. Hate to say it, but watch for panic sellers. I've been a panic seller. We've all, at one point in our life, been a panic seller. Whoops, my light died on me. Boy, this thing, I'm going to have to start charging this in the morning. It's a great light, but it does not last. That was about an hour and a half charge on that thing. It's already out. That's all right. I just wanted it on so you could see the flying V. Panic sellers are often offloading really good gear for pretty cheap. So again, that's why you want to start out by negotiating. Don't be a dick, but offer a price that you think you're comfortable, you'd be happy with, and you'd be surprised. You'd be really surprised. Is it really a used guitar apocalypse? Not exactly. It's a shift. We're seeing a shift. I've been talking about this for quite some time. If you've been with this channel, you guys know that. But I think it's a necessary one. It's going to cause pain for some. Guys like me, if I play this right, it can be painful, but I can ride it out. Especially if I start putting stuff, I was putting stuff aside there and holding it for months, waiting for the right opportunity. Then things just started flying out, but I might be in that position again. So, for when the shift settles, to see where things lay. So there's that. Round off prices to the lowest nearest 100. I suppose you could try that method. Heck, every American-made PRC CE model core models are going for as cheap as $1,200. I know that's not cheap, but for a $2,400 guitar, that's a killer deal. You half off. Yeah. Again, that is in the high end of the mid-tier, the real high end. It's touching in on the high-end guitar, actually, but yeah, it really depends. And again, availability, how much supply of those are out there? Quite a bit. I buy when I see value for the dollar, but sometimes that includes stuff like coming with a case. But having a case doesn't make the guitar any better. True, you'll notice a lot of shots, like, hey, I'm doing that. I'm holding back. Some things may come with a case. I may hold that back. Or I may add it in to sweeten the deal. It's like poker. And things like a case these days, where it was taken for granted before, those are actually negotiating points now for the seller and on the plus side. Free case is nice. The free case days are gone. I can tell you that right now, being in this market. I would say having a case with it signifies the care someone takes in owning it. I agree. If somebody has a case with it, whether it's a nice leather case or a hard case, even better, then yeah, those have always been the nicest ones that I've gotten, always. So exactly correct. For example, I've never owned a guitar that didn't have a gig bag minimum. I agree. Every guitar should have its home. Foxes have holes, birds have nests, but does my Strat have a case? So I have to always agree with that. The market is correcting itself after a few crazy years, guys. If you play it smart, You can still come out ahead, whether you're selling or buying. If you're struggling, then it's time to reassess what it is you're selling and look at the market and see what's selling, what's not. You know, if your powder's dry, you got cash. Like I said, you're in a good position. There's killer deals out there to be had. I heard it from somewhere that you get a PR, USA for half price. you know, so just something to consider because you really are laying in a market. Boy, where I had this surgery at is really painful today for some reason. Just rubbing it's not going to help. You really have to play it by ear in this market, guys. It's something. Like I said, I really, literally, real life, real true story. I had to go tomorrow and negotiate a deal on a guitar. Usually it's pretty simple, but this one I had to negotiate. And it's just getting to be that way. But it's something that I know they want. And it's not something that's coming through their door every day. So I have that to my advantage. They do want it. So always create the desire. What I'm saying is always present something or learn how to create a desire over what it is that you have. Frederick Rogers, better late than never. I hope you catch it in the rerun. We're winding down here, talking about the used guitar apocalypse, which I believe is actually more of a correction. It's a correction in this market. It's a correction akin to what we saw in 2008 in all the tiers. What happened in all the tiers that I went through tonight is exactly what's happening right now. No different. But that was a correction that was needed then. We haven't had a correction really since 2008, to be honest with you guys, if you really think about it. As a matter of fact, COVID created an artificial swell where we might have had one sooner. And now this one is worse as a result of COVID and the oversaturation in the market. The boutique boom of the 2000s is another thing that led us to this situation now by creating an oversaturation in this market. Is there a pedal you wish to have? Yeah, there is. I use a chorus pedal on my pedal board because with the rate turned all the way down, and then adjusted the other to taste, but I would rather have a multi-effects pedal since this is my recording board, and I like to print what I'm recording. I don't want to, I don't want to get into reamping or any of that stuff I used to do anymore. Then I think an effects pedal. I had a multi-effects pedal, the Zoom I'm talking about. The new Zoom multi-effects pedal really interested the hell out of me. That's the one pedal that I'm looking at right now. I was looking, as you guys know, at that Vibe 69, but after I looked into it a little deeper, no. But no, I really am looking for that new Zoom multi-effects pedal. I'll get it one of these days, but shit, I've got so many other things that I need to get. It's not something necessary right now. I can live without it. Do you see the resale value on boutique guitar companies going up due to the rise in popularity? For example, Kiesel. Yeah. Some. What is that company? Novo, for example. those guitars have just skyrocketed because of their popularity. So some, you know, not all. Boutique guitars, you know, that's a rabbit hole that you better keep your ears to the ground and find out what's popular. And if you're hearing that it's popular, it's probably too late to get in it at a reasonable price. That's been my experience. I only want a noise gate pedal at this point. Well, yeah, it's the beauty of that Zoom pedal is that it has both a built-in noise gate in it as well. You can put you can chain up to 5 or 6 different effects. Put a noise gate at the beginning or the end of it, depending upon where you want it in your chain, and it works great. Fortunately, like I said, right now, my new parts caster and this board are I don't need a noise. The one that I have in my software for Studio One is good enough. I remember when everyone was rushing to buy 4,000 Novos. Yeah, but look at those. Some of those 4,000 Novos are now 8,000. So I can't say that they were foolish in buying them. You know, that's why I said if you knew that at the time, you know, was that Rhett Scholl, he said that he sold 2 of his guitars just to buy that one. He said it was the best investment he ever made. It probably was. It got a lot of eyes on his YouTube channel in the beginning, that's for sure. I own a Kizzle, best guitar I ever had, but I'm looking to PRS now. God save my wallet. Geez, just looked up Novo. I'll never understand a 5K parts caster. Yep. Yeah, those Novas is an example I always pull out when it comes to boutique guitars that are punching above their weight. That may be, you know, in Kiesel as well, but that's a different story. But similar. But just something to think about, guys. It's a fluid thing out there. It's a fluid thing. And it you know, as a business for me right now, you know, there have been a few nights where I worried, you know, is this going to work out? Is that going to work out? Did I make the right decision? Things like, whereas before, I slept pretty comfortably knowing that I made some right decisions. I just wanted to make sure they got here in one piece. Now it's a little bit more complicated. This too shall pass. But it's just going to require you, if you're a seller, to think a little smarter. Novo, the Bitcoin of the guitar market. Yeah, in a lot of ways. Do I like Rhett's Novo guitar? Yeah, I think it's pretty sweet. It's an odd color. But I guess that's one of the things that makes it unique, you know. But it's like a mauve, you know, but or shell pink maybe. Are those the same thing? Anyway. But yeah, dig that. Boutique market's a different monster. Talk about that maybe one of these days. All right, guys, I am exhausted. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm fading. I'm drinking Coca-Cola here. They look cool, a bit big for my taste. Yeah, that's our Steve Ray Vaughan's #1 Stratocaster had some weird parts. It was a parts caster. You get to the point where you start to not care. If you can get past what it says on the headstock and you got a little bit of technical skill, you can put together a decent guitar these days. Better a guitar, I dare say, than Van Halen had back in the 70s when he was digging around for parts. You get a good neck and frets, and it doesn't really matter. Good set of pickups, yeah. All right, guys, I will find the time. Don't know if it's going to be tomorrow because I'll be working, as I said. It's going to be a busy one tomorrow. To edit the unboxing video and get that out. That's a very relatively quick, easy video to do. So maybe I'll do it tomorrow evening. We'll see. But I'll get it out before our next live stream on Wednesday. Again, if you'd like to see pictures of the guitars that came in that had to go to my Instagram account at Mark USTTRM. Take a look at those pictures. I need your support, guys. By going to bandcamp.com, looking up Mike McWilliams or Asanoki and buying an album. Even if you bought one, buy another. I don't ask for PayPal. I don't ask for donations. I don't ask for any of those things. But I will say right now that a little bit of help would be great. If you guys would go over to Bandcamp and Asanoki and consider buying a single, buy something. I would really appreciate that. And I'll give you a shout out on the live stream if you do. So do so if you're so inclined. You guys have a good night, have a good evening, and I will talk to you soon. Take care. Bye bye. And thank you guys so much for showing up. God bless each and every one of you. Bye bye.